another exciting episode of the PlayStation Plus podcast, your monthly slice for all things PlayStation Plus. News, reviews, reactions, opinions, we got them all a Sunday. Sometimes it's the first Sunday, sometimes it's the third Sunday, but every Sunday of the month. uh, Joining me on this episode to talk about all the things PlayStation Plus for September 2021 is returning guest, Mr. Benjamin Weeks. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I got the PS5 last week. I
Oh.
finally managed to get it,
Oh, you're
and I've really been enjoying it.
yeah, you're starting right with the humble brag. But yeah, no, because not well. First off, not only do you have the PS5, you also have the Series X as well.
Yes, I did manage to get the Series X, and by trading in my Series S that I got for Christmas last year.
So you're
So
you're full blown next gen. I'm still rocking the base PS4.
yeah, yeah, and my PS4 lasted me for like a pretty good while. Um, like Ghost of Tsushima ran fine on it. Final Fantasy VII Remake ran fine on it, but I'm looking forward to seeing like what the upgraded version looks like.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like I've never been one to do the whole digital foundry comparison videos, but
Right. Yeah.
I definitely do think it's like, all right, I love the PS4, but it's definitely time to upgrade. Like it's had its time in the spotlight, and I'm ready for something new, and hopefully I
Right.
can
Like,
go.
but like Ghost of Tsushima was really the last big PS4 game. I know that God of War and Horizon 2 are coming to PS4, but they're really PS5 games. They're not meant for
No.
they're I guess I'm glad they're coming to PS4 because yes, God of War 2018 looked great on PS4, but I part of me just wishes that they would just fully commit to next gen and go all out for the
Yeah.
sequel. But I'm sure they'll be good games anyway.
So before we get to the fun game talk, what other non-gaming things have been you into lately?
Well, I have been watching a lot of movies and Blu-rays and anime recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm planning on seeing the new James Bond movie tomorrow, No Time to
Oh.
Die. I have been trying to get through Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
I've been reading.
Because what is it? The remake is November, I believe.
Yes, the Netflix live action show.
Yeah, so I need to get my fiance watching that before that comes out, because that's just one of those.
Yeah,
Mm,
sorry. Yeah, I had the Blu-ray complete set. So I just need to take a day just to sit down and watch the whole series through if that's even possible.
well, that's what I was telling her. I believe it's only one season and like 30 episodes or something. It's not a long watch.
No, no, no. It is nothing too. It's not like you're going to be there for like 12 hours. It's not long, but it's just substantial enough to really get something out of it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because we just literally this morning just finished Squid Game because we got into the hype of all that stuff too. So
Yeah, everyone's talking about Squid Game.
I I it took us a while to deal with the whole dubbing thing. And I know this sounds weird. The way we got around it was we kept it in English, but we still had the subtitles. So like we could hear, but we didn't have to. We weren't solely paying attention to the lips, and that actually
See,
really helped a lot.
I had the subs on the whole time.
Hmm.
I went with the Korean version,
Yeah. Hmm.
but but it's still made for a very great show. I'm excited for season two.
Yes. Yeah. I cannot wait for it. Like that was one of those. Squid Game was one of those shows where like we heard so many people talking about it, and we were just like, all right, let's watch the dumb Squid show. And then next thing we
Right.
know, it's like 4 hours later, and we're like super hooked. We're like,
Right.
we can go to bed late. We can watch another one.
Oh, yeah. And for lots of these shows, I managed to be pretty much completely unspoiled since I don't go on Twitter much. I don't go really on. Uh, I don't. I actually don't go on YouTube a whole lot, so it's hard. It's hard for me to get shows like that spoiled. Like I went spoiler free for that. Went spoiler free for Midnight Mass, which was another Netflix show that I heard so much about.
Yeah, same. That's one of those ones like I don't know what it is. I just know people keep talking about it. So
Right. Right. And I don't know. I've just found it strangely easy to avoid being spoiled for things.
this is the most silliest thing ever. I was watching an Animal Crossing video because like I think we were at episode 3 or 4 at this point. I was watching like an Animal Crossing video where this guy made Squid Game in Animal Crossing, and I had to turn it off because I was like, I don't want to be spoiled by Animal Crossing. I don't want Animal Crossing to spoil this for me.
Right.
Yeah.
For a second, when you mentioned Animal Crossing, I thought you were going to bring up the Anka video.
Oh, gee, no, that's that's a whole thing we won't touch on this though. Yeah, no. All I'll say is that the internet's very creative, and
Yeah.
it never ceases to amaze me how much the internet will run with a single joke. They'll
Yeah.
run it right into the ground. But on that note, let's get right into the game discussion.
Right.
So fun fact, my fiance and I, she moved at the end of August. So all of August we were packing, we were getting stuff done. And then obviously September, I've been helping her unpack, move in, get settled, and all that. Because my stuff is still at my old place. So I didn't play any of the Plus games for this month.
Right.
Luckily, I was kind of interested in enough. But yeah, so we can start with Predator. So yeah, the 3 games you got this month was Predator Hunting Grounds. It was created by Ilphonics and released on April 24th, 2020, and has a Metacritic score of 56. So I don't know if you actually were able to play this game or you went with the other 2.
I did give Predator a shot. I played a few rounds, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
Wait, because
Though
Mhm.
I will say that despite all the crap this game got way back then when it came out, I think Evolve did what Predator was trying to do better. Yes, Evolve had a bunch of microtransactions and stuff, but to me it's just a better version of this. And I love Predator. I I love the Predator movies. I think the Predator looks awesome and it's fun. It's fun to play as the Predator.
Because that's what I was gonna say. Because I had to look up Ilphonics.
I just wish they. Yeah, I think they're relatively
Well,
like
they
they're
were
under
the same people who did
small.
Friday. They were the same people who did Friday the 13th. And I remember that game got a lot of flack when it first launched, and yet it's still been years later, and people are still playing that game.
Right, and they're good at doing like asymmetric multiplayer like that. Like I really supported Friday the 13th. It sucks that what ended up happening with it it was all because of licensing issues over the actual franchise. But
Exactly.
what was there was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because my main thing is playing Friday. They gave you a ton of different ways to customize Jason and your campers and all the other stuff. So I guess the only one for me is like, did Predator allow you that much customization, or was it kind of a bit more limited?
It was rather limited. I mean,
That sucks.
You really don't get much in the way of different Predator looks. since the Predator, to be honest, I mean, when you take the Friday the 13th game, you have Jason X, you have you had the one from Jason Goes to Hell, you have the Jason with a bag over his head. You have a lot more possibilities you can reach from with that. Whereas for Predator, he's only ever really looked one way.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You know?
Well, especially when they do, what is it, the one from Alien or Predator? I know, like, the hardcore fans got really upset the fact that they were changing stuff like that, so.
Oh yeah, I do remember Alien vs. Predator Requiem not being very good. So if people are getting mad over any movie, it should be that one.
But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I don't have much more to say about that one. I will say, like, I know this game wasn't received well, but like you said, I do think there is a place for those games, and it kind of sucks.
And there is.
Yeah, because like you said, there's Evolve, there's Friday the 13th. I guess the only other closest would be Dead by Daylight.
Yes, though I feel like Dead by Daylight is
more horror.
It's closer to it's far closer to Friday than Predator, though they are pretty much the same game. You have to work together to get away from a killer. Though of all the games, like better, like when we have Evolve, Predator, Friday the 13th, and Dead by Daylight, I think Dead by Daylight does it the best. But that's just me.
No, yeah, it's a genre that it's one of those things. Like, I don't think I would necessarily be that involved with it, but I do appreciate. I think it's a really cool concept, and I'm just waiting for someone to find out way to like crack it for me, because like I think the idea of having the asymmetrical multiplayer is cool, and like I kind of want to see more games work with that idea. Like, that was the whole reason I enjoyed the Wii U in a weird way, was because it gave you such unique, different gameplay style.
Right. I can talk. I agree with you. I've just Dead by Daylight really hooked me early on.
So the other game you got this month on PS5 was Overcooked, All You Can Eat. It was created by Team 17 and released on November 10th, 2020. It has a Metacritic of 84, and I could not find any sales number. But yeah, so I don't know if you've ever played the Overcooked games before.
No, I have not.
I played it with I've played it both by myself and with an ex, and like those are the definition of like Mario Party games, where there's so much fun and happiness and excitement, but like you're probably gonna be screaming at each other by the end of the night.
Yeah, I have heard that they're very fun games. I have just never got around to playing them.
Well, that's it's definitely a lot harder playing it by yourself, because basically the way they do it is there's just a swap button. So you basically have to play two characters at once. So it is playable single player, and there's definitely plenty for you to do. But I do think it's better if you have someone to play with, or even do all that other stuff. And I believe what is it? The all you can eat one is actually online now, so you actually don't eat, because the first one you had to be in the same room.
Oh, I honestly did not know that.
Yeah. No, because I remember a lot of people complaining, saying like, "Well, my buddy's over like 2 states over, so how are we gonna play this game?"
Right. Like I would have probably given Overcooked a shot, but I just didn't have the 5 at the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much like I said, I think it's good for just a party or like a fun something to mess around with people, because I know there are some people who get super competitive at that stuff. Like, we're getting 3 stars, we're doing everything perfect, and all that other stuff, and I'm like, I do not have the patience for that.
Right, same here. That's just way too much.
Exactly. But yeah, so what was I gonna say? Because yeah, all you can eat is 1 plus 2 plus all the DLC and other stuff. So I don't have much more to say unless you do, sir.
Yeah, nah, I don't think either of us have really had much experience with Overcooked.
Well, no, I'm definitely because to kind of pimp a competitor's offering, I know it is on. Sorry, Overcooked 2 is on Game Pass, and I've definitely been
Oh,
wanting to play that with my fiance. It's just like we're planning a upcoming like stream day thing, so we're probably gonna save it for that. But like, I am excited to play that with her, and because like she's never seen it before, so like it's super easy, and I think that's gonna be the entry point where it's super easy to pick up and play. Like it's really just I think it's like the move around button and the chop button. That's it. But
yeah,
when you're bumping into other stuff and someone's making for other stuff, like it's definitely more fun with more people you play. So I'm very much excited to try this with her when we do have the opportunity to.
it does sound fun.
Mm-hmm. And the final game for this month is Hitman 2. It was created by IO Interactive and was released on November 9th, 2018, and has a Metacritic score of 82%. So yeah, again, I did not personally play this game, but like I have such an interest and fascination with the Hitman series because it's one of those it ticks all the box, and I feel like if I actually sat down and play these games, I would probably love them because like I love the puzzle elements. I love the strategy of it, like the planning and like figuring out the routes and all that other stuff. I love the stealth parts. Um, I guess what was your just kind of experience with Hitman?
Uh, See, I didn't get this through PS Plus because I had already got the game because I enjoyed Hitman 1 so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, these are pretty much exactly my kinds of games. Since in games like say um, Dishonored or um, even Skyrim,
Mm-hmm.
I try to use stealth as often as possible. Like I like to take my time
See,
and
I like to. The issue for me is that I'm very much one of those people. The second I get caught, I'm just like, all right, peace was never an option, and I just like start gunning down everyone. And I
yeah,
know Hitman, like they actually kind of discourage you from doing that. You can, but they don't encourage you to just go up and shoot up the place. They prefer if you are more stealthy about it.
right. Like it's why I think me playing Hitman is part of why I tend to take my time and be more careful in other games is to see like it's because I like challenges
Mm-hmm.
and to see like what can I pull off this in this game. So I'll try to go for silent assassin in every mission, and I've done it for a few. I have pulled off
Okay.
silent assassin for a few, but I'm not good enough to do it for every mission.
Because someone said that to me uh, a while ago. They were like, "Oh, well, Hitman's a puzzle game," and I'm like, "No, it is. What are you?" And it is like when you think about it, like you kind of do. It is a puzzle of like, all right, I'm given this, this sandbox, this area, and I gotta figure out what is the right optimal way. And like a lot of that is the trial and error of okay, well, let me try sneaking in the front. No, that doesn't work. Let me try sneaking in the back. No, that doesn't work. Like
Right.
okay, I'm in the
Or like
back.
what disguises to get.
Exactly. So like it does start to kind of click together where you're like, all right, I have this tool and this tool, and you're like, oh well, hey, this whatever, this potato, this guy's eating a potato over here. So if I poison the potato before it gets to him, I really enjoy that whole aspect of like letting the player kind of
Kind of
pick
experiment.
exactly figure out like their own way because I've seen videos like I said where people just throw grenades and they beat the mission and they move on and I've seen people who will swap clothes with guards, and they'll like unlock things, do this other stuff, and like I just love the fact that they give you so many different options to tackle missions, really like however you want.
Oh yeah, like it's why it's a game that I find myself going back to pretty often, because there were just there were other there were other assassination options or other possibilities that I just hadn't done yet.
Because I was gonna say, do you own 3?
No, I do not own 3.
Well, the cool thing, because I know 2 does it as well. But the thing I find really cool is the fact that all the games transfer forward. So I was seeing people talk about how you can take Hitman 1 and Hitman 2, and you can play it in Hitman 3. So technically, you get 3 games in one if you carry all your content forward.
Right.
But the reason I was gonna ask you is how I know they kind of this wasn't exactly a games as service, but they definitely did support it a lot. Like I don't know which one it was, but one of the hidden targets was Gary Busey.
Oh yeah, I don't remember which one it was either, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
And that's what I was gonna say. How were they in terms of like once the the season were done? Like, because that's the thing I find most fascinating is that they have those hidden targets, these limited time people. Like, hey, this guy is only gonna be on the Paris level for whatever 2 weeks, but like. Was that only at launch, or have they kind of continued to support it afterwards?
They do at least from my experience with 2, they kept adding like updates or special events as the game went on just to keep the game alive, because
which is cool.
because if you don't, the whole community will quickly just master the levels, and they really won't have much reason to come back to your game, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do like it because you look at least I don't believe there's any microtransactions in the game.
If I no, I don't think there.
That's what
I
I
don't
say.
think there. No.
I appreciate the fact they're like, hey, we're gonna continue to update the game, we're gonna support the game, but we're not gonna do it like, oh hey, here's a new level pack. You're like, the base game was the base game, but they still supported it and kept it fresh, so there was always something new for you to do and keep engaging with the game. And I know a lot of purists are gonna be like, no, it should just be the game ships and that's it. But like, I'm all for devs doing this, where like they keep updating it, just do little tweaks, little adjustments or whatever, but still keep the core game the same. I think
Like
that's a really cool game to keep it going in the long term.
But like I don't think any game can ship like truly 100% complete.
No.
Since since I mean you'll always have updates and things they can add on in advance. Because if we waited for every game to release completely full, then we'd be waiting a long time or a longer time for games. Like I with like games with Hitman 2, you're going to replay the levels over and over and over. This isn't really a game you spend a lot of time on going from new area to new area to new area. It's really all about mastering the levels.
Yeah. I enjoy it. Like I said, I feel like if I sit down and actually play it, I would probably enjoy these games.
Oh yeah, they're worth trying. They just require a lot of patience.
But that's gonna say, yeah. Do you have any last minute thoughts before we move on, sir?
No, I feel that it's a game absolutely
Actually,
worth
something I
playing.
will ask you. I don't know. I think it was just 3. Would you at all try the VR mode in Hitman 3?
If I had the space for a VR system, then it honestly looks pretty fun. But I haven't had experience with it. No.
Yeah, no. That's one of those ones I'm like, oh, I would love to try it, just not enough hours in
Right.
the day.
Right, and for me, it's not even really the time. It's just the fact that you have to have like a wide open space to use a VR headset, and I just don't.
Yeah, unfortunately. But that's gonna do it for the game discussions. But before we move on to the new segments, we're gonna take a small ad break. But as always, this is an independently funded show, and if you'd like to have your product read on air or just work with us in other general sense, you can write into the show, PlayStation Plus pod at gmail.com. But until then, PlayStation Plus show, excuse me, at gmail.com. But this freebie's going out to Turkey because we are recording this on Canadian Thanksgiving and Columbus Day, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a whole big slice of turkey before this, and like I'm already like feeling it. I'm already getting the Thanksgiving sleep. I
Cool.
I will say, because yes, I believe the American one is November. But on the spot, gun to your head, what's the best pie, sir?
Apple.
Yeah, you know what? I can live with that answer. I'm all about that pumpkin pie, but apple is a very close second.
Yeah, it's if not Apple, then berry.
Yeah. No, I used to I used to be so bad for stealing slices of pie. My mom would actually make me my own separate little pie that was just for me. Because she's like, you keep taking other people's slices, you need to share, so this one's just for you. And then I would eat that and then take more people's slices. But yeah,
Yeah.
so there is just a nice tight 10 news stories this month. Some of
Cool.
them are a bit old, so some of them we're just gonna breeze by. But the first one is that the PS5 is already on its second firmware update. And this one comes to us from the PlayStation blog. We don't need to go into all the specifics. Um, it just lets you update the the pop-up menu. You can delete parties without having to kick each player individually. It shows the game version now, which I know a lot of people are having issues with. Because now it'll show the PS4 and the PS5 as two separate, icons.
Yes, yes, it does.
There's updates for PS Now. There's updates for the 3D audio. It updated remote play and just the way it streams. The big one everyone was of course excited for is that it allows third-party SSDs. So, which from what I've told is not that hard to upgrade it.
I might have to try it then, since I had a since I had an external drive for my PS4, so I'm gonna see. I imagine that should work with my PS5.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because this is all hearsay from Facebook's, but I've been told that it's just two screws. You just take off the base and then you take off the cover that's supporting the SSD. But then that's it. Like you just put a new one in, and it's like a 5-minute process.
Right.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people were upset because Xbox you can kind of plug it in and that's it. But PlayStation you do have to kind of tinker with the console itself a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the last one was just that the PlayStation Up now lets you stream video to the app itself. So nothing small, nothing major. You were saying beforehand that you haven't noticed any of these features since you've got your PS5.
Yeah, I mean, since when I first heard about this news, I'm like, that's nice for those lucky fools who have a PS5. It doesn't really matter for me, but yeah, like since I just got my system last week, this doesn't feel that new, but I am glad that like the showing versions of the game is really convenient. That's how I was able to download my PS5 version of Final Fantasy and my PS5 version of Ghost of Tsushima really easily. I could just look them up in the store and it would say PS5 next next to it. It just made things far more convenient.
Yeah, because that's something I will say is that like I said earlier, now that I'm living with my fiance, she has a Series X, and it's definitely much
Oh,
neater because they have everything all labeled like neatly, where it's like, hey, this is a Game Pass game, this is a Games with Gold, this is something
yep.
you own, this is a trial. So I definitely do appreciate them labeling and making it much easier to understand. So I can imagine having a PS4 and a PS5 version on top of that. That would be even more of a headache.
And I even I've been using the PlayStation app a lot more recently, and being able to share clips to there and
Yeah.
getting
Because
I I've not tried remote play since I just feel that playing a PS5 through my phone would just be really awkward and weird. But yeah, a bunch of these things are very convenient.
yeah, because the thing I find most crazy is being in the news cycle. Like we're kind of very much of the moment The thing I find most crazy with that of like the PS4 did not have a rest mode when it launched. That came like a year and a half after.
Oh, I had no idea.
I know but it's just one of those things. Like it felt like it's been there since launch, and then I was doing research, and it's like, oh no, okay, it didn't have that. So what I'm gonna pose to you is, what's like one kind of quick feature like you kind of want in a future patch update?
Uh, in all honesty, there I and I know this has been said before, but themes would be nice on PS5.
Oh god, yeah. I try, I spent far too much money on themes. I probably have like 5 or 6, and when they said they don't transfer, I'm like, excuse me, what?
Right, like and some of my favorite themes on my PS4, like I loved how they would change the icons, change the music.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. The a lot of I love the dynamic ones where like even if it's
yeah,
I have this Terraway one where it's just like a little forest or whatever, but it's just like the fact the animal is playing or whatever. It's very serene. Like it's very mellowing in a weird way.
right. Like I like the last theme I had on my PS4 was an oxen-free one that would change based on the time of day. So at
Oh, that's
nighttime, it's
cool.
nighttime. In the morning, it would be morning. Um, there was another Dark Souls 3 mod that it 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 all looked like a drawing. Like you'd see a bunch of art in background, the background, and you'd have your night walk through, and it's like it would all be drawn. It's like a scroll.
Hmm.
Um, there was the Final Fantasy Tifa one, which is really good.
Yep.
Which
Thank you,
apparently
Snickers. So I got that one for free.
they actually just released that for released that for free since it was originally just
I
you
I
you
it was
win
a
it through.
Snickers contest or something.
Yeah, but they eventually just threw it on on the PS store, and you can just get it for free. The Ghost of Tsushima themes were really good.
Hmm.
Um, Man, I'm trying to think of like all the, oh, there was a great BioShock theme where your main homepage would be Rapture, and if you pressed up on the D-pad to go to your like top menu
Yep.
with your friends, um, it would go up in the sky to Columbia.
Oh, that's
It
really cool.
I love that theme.
I This is such a random want, but something I do really love about the Xbox interface is the fact that they let you just move stuff everywhere. So it's so convenient because there's a profile for for me, for my fiance, and then for her stepdaughter. And like so for
Right.
her, she has all the games at the top of her list, and then my fiance, she has like Netflix and Disney Plus and like all the streaming stuff at the top of hers. So I do think it's really cool how Xbox lets you customize and really like make the console your own, and like it has these little um because what is it like? It actually changes like the theme color based on who's logged in or doing this other stuff. So I really want PlayStation to lean in that going forward, just kind of making each account feel like its own thing.
Yeah, I admit really the only account on my Xbox and PS5 is my own. So I can't really speak to how they'd be different. But from what you said, that I agree. That sounds like something that
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation should definitely
Well, because
in
the cool thing is, you I don't know how to turn it off, so it's very annoying right now. But basically, you can even set it that specific controllers are tied to specific people. So basically, when she picks up the white controller, it knows it's her. When I pick up
oh
the black controller, it says like, "Oh, hey, Vincent," and it will auto load my settings right there because it knows I use the black controller, which I think is really
oh
cool.
that that is cool. I didn't know you could assign
Hmm.
you could like assign controllers to people.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So, any last thoughts on the PS5 updates before we move on?
Uh, they're they're really cool, and I'm excited to see what comes in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of circling back to the whole rest mode thing. That's the thing where I'm most excited. Where like right now, I mean, like it's just gonna be like, all right, cool, updates, performance stuff. I can't wait for 5, 10 years from now, where like, oh, some crazy gaming feature we couldn't even think of right now, and that's just like becomes standard after a few years.
Right.
But yeah, so
Oh,
after that we have so earlier in the month, I agree, push square. Yeah, so earlier this month, there was on the 9th, there was a PlayStation showcase. So we're not gonna go through everything real quick. But before I get into that, did you watch this live, sir?
yes I did.
Yeah. So just let.
I admit I don't remember a whole lot, but I do remember being very excited about it.
Yes, because I watched with the folks over at Penultimate Conquest, which you can find here on Facebook and Twitch and all that other stuff. But yeah, so I watched it with them and I had a blast. Uh, they because people made fun of Sony because they weren't at E3, they weren't doing all that other stuff. Uh, and then they kind of just came out swinging with this thing.
Yes, since I know they threw out Spider-Man 2, they
Yes.
finally announced Spider-Man 2, and we are officially getting Venom.
Yep. But yeah, here. So let me. So I'm reading this from PushSquare.com. By
Right.
Liam Croft. So I'm just gonna. So there's this kind of out of order, but yeah. So Spider-Man 2 brings Venom. Insomniac is making a Wolverine game, which let's stop. That blew my mind.
Yeah, I really hope it's M, or
Yes.
be because like it would be hard to do a Wolverine game to me
Mm-hmm.
without it being like hard M.
Well,
Like the Red Dead 2 of
mm-hmm.
superhero games.
Mm-hmm. Because I know a lot of people are upset at the fact that Wolverine is being like Sony exclusive. And
Uh,
well, see, for me, like, because I know, like, I've understand some people are upset, because if you're a Spider-Man fan, the only way to play the Spider-Man games are to get a PS4. And
right.
there was these rumors going around that like, oh hey, maybe Xbox is making a Wolverine game. Um, so I definitely understand why people are excited, but Insomniac has done such a good job with Spider-Man that like I'm right, all right, cool, just let them go crazy, do whatever they want.
Right. Yeah, and they're from what I've seen, they did a really great job with games like Ratchet and Clank.
Exactly. So it's one of those things like, it sucks. Yes, it's not on Xbox, but I still think it's going to be a fantastic game regardless of where it is.
Oh yeah, I trust in Insomniac to do a Wolverine game justice after seeing what they did with Spider-Man.
So what is it? So there. I'm just gonna blow through these. There's a Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. There's a trailer for Tiny Tina's Wonderland. There's for Blood Hunt. Project Eve was shown. Uncharted. Excuse me. Forspoken, which actually I want to take a second to highlight Forspoken. I went from not caring about this game at all to this trailer really showed me because you have
Oh hell yeah!
you have the whole girl being transported to the magical world, but she's all like quippy and jokey, and like I actually was really impressed by this.
Same.
Mm-hmm. Ghostwire's coming next year. Ticha is an open world game. Inspired by the South Pacific. Knights of the Old Republic. This got people really upset.
Oh yeah, that is not on Xbox.
Yes, it is only on PlayStation. PlayStation exclusive. And I guess circling back to the Wolverine thing. Yeah, I can see how people are very upset with this. But I'm not gonna lie. Like, have you ever played the original?
No, I've not played the original since it's such an old game.
It's almost 20. Yeah, I'm very excited to try out this remake because neither have I. I know they just added it to Switch, I believe, like 2 weeks ago or so.
Right.
But yeah,
hard for a second in the back of my mind, I was like, that's not the same team that's doing the Demon Souls remake, is it? But no, it's not Blue Point. It's a different team. Though it would be really nice if they did have Blue Point on that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they just briefly talked about how Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection is coming to PS5 and PS4
and PC.
Yeah, and PC. Uncharted 4 is coming to PC next year. Gran Turismo got a delay to March of next year, and then they wrapped it up with God of War Ragnarok. So honestly, that is a heck of a show.
Yes, it's given people a lot to be excited about.
Well, that's what we were talking before the show. Is you were saying how, because what is it? Both God of War and Horizon are still technically PS4 games. So it's just wondering for you as someone with a PS5, like how did this presentation excite you?
Well, in hindsight, having a PS5 now, I'm far more excited about a lot more things. Like I can actually really get excited about Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, Forspoken games like that. And while at the time I was still looking forward to God of War and Horizon, but now that I can play like their best versions, I'm far more hyped for them.
Yeah, something I'm shocked with God of War because something PlayStation is very bad for is they'll do these presentations and then they'll do updates afterwards. I'm just shocked that this is like they're basically saying like, all right, no, we're not doing a trilogy. Like it's just, this is it. Like this is the end of Atreus' story.
And they even said that it's kind of hard to do something after Ragnarok, since Ragnarok is supposed to be the apocalypse of Norse mythology. So I don't see what I don't know what they could do after.
Yeah, I'm just like I don't know. I enjoyed 18 so much. I want just more and more. So it kind of sucks to learn like, all right, no, we're like this is it. We're already done.
Right, and I kind of and I kind of admire that, since they have a story that they want to tell, and if they can tell it in just two games, they're gonna tell it in 2 games. Since they know that they'll be fine if they just do God of War 2018, and then God of War Ragnarok, and then move and then say Kratos or whoever the next character is can move on to a new mythology, whether it's Japanese mythology or Egyptian mythology.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people kicking around Egyptian.
I I would love to see that in God of War, but who knows?
Yeah, like you said, I trust them. The other weird part is also the fact that like Cory Barlog is not coming back. That just seems like such a personal game. It's just very weird to go like, all right, like Corey's doing something else, and now here's this other guy, and it's only one game.
Right. Since he did do that when God of War 2018 came out, he did do that documentary called Raising Kratos.
Yeah, I've heard
All about
great
the
things.
making of the game and
Also on YouTube.
yes, it is free on YouTube, I believe. And just his different feelings during the game's production. And it was clearly a very much so a passion project. So while it sucks that he won't be around for the next one, I I I don't think he would he would intentionally leave it in bad hands. I think he knows his team and he thinks that I trust that he knows they can handle this.
Yeah. So the only kind of last addendum to that is they talked about Grand Theft Auto 5, and I want to hear real quick, what is your whole thought on Grand Theft Auto PS5? Because it is far more divisive than I really thought it would be.
Well, I'm just ready for Rockstar to move on. Like just give us some Red Dead 2 single player DLC. Give us some GTA 5 single player DLC. I mean, GTA 5 has been around since like 2013. They I
Mm-hmm. It
is
people make memes, but no, yeah, it's legitimately been on 3 console generations.
is it even confirmed that they're do we know if they're even working on the sixth game, or is it just going to be or is it just going to always be GTA 5? Just
There's been rumors and kind of leaks, but nothing officially has been announced.
it does make me wonder, what in the world are they doing over at Rockstar?
Well, here,
Since
cause here, let me read this real quick, so it's kind of a two-part thing because in the initial trailer, first off, they said that this again a port of a PS3 game. It's being delayed. It was supposed to come out this November, and now it's being pushed to March of 2022.
oh man.
Yeah, so I don't know how a port gets delayed like 4 or 5 months, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because of all the upgrades they're adding for a game that.
well, that and then that's
Why?
the second part is because the thing for me is like I'm just like, okay, cool. When they went from PS3 to PS4, they added very superficial stuff like, hey, now there's whales in the ocean, and now there's more cows in the wilderness. Like, the big selling point was like the first person mode, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, you did that, so like I'm generally been curious to see what the difference between the PS4 and the PS5 version.
Right. And for me, I have a lot of fun with the GTA 5. I really, really did. Though I would much rather see a PS5 upgrade for Red Dead 2. Since that game looked shockingly good on PS4, I'd love to see what they could do with upgrading it all to PS5.
Yep. Um.
I feel like there's a lot more potential there,
Mhm.
but I'll still give GTA 5 a shot on my PS5
Well,
anyway, just to see what it's like.
well, this is the update that like I've been wondering because and they when they added Red Dead, they broke out Red Dead Online, as just a standalone mode, and I'm like, you know what? That's good. I don't want to pay another whatever 30-40 bucks when really I'm just paying it for online. So like I thought that was the best thing ever. Cool, just give me the online. I don't need to pay for the story mode for the third time.
Right.
And then I saw that Red Dead Online was on as part of Game Pass. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't know why a free game is on Game Pass, but whatever. And it wasn't until I found out later that no, Rockstar is charging for the multiplayer components. So you can't play. You still have to pay a fee to play these games. And
Right.
and that is what this news story is. The longest preamble ever. GTA Online will be free at launch on PS5. And this comes to us from Yahoo Life by John Bittner. During this month's PlayStation Showcase, Rockstar Games announced that the next-gen update for GTA 5 and GTA Online had been delayed to March 2022. There was a bit of good news for PS5 players, however, as the team also announced that the standalone version of GTA Online will be free to download for the first 3 months after launch. Similar to what Rockstar did with Red Dead Online, GTA will be making a standalone version, meaning you will be able to pick up the online game at a reduced price without having to spend extra money on the single-player campaign. It's unclear how much the publisher will charge for the new title, although Red Dead Online is currently listed at $19.99. So that's the thing I find most crazy, is the fact that with all this in mind, how do you feel about Rockstar not only porting the game 3 generations, but now they're basically making people pay another fee if they want just the GTA Online?
Well, GTA Online to me has always been about Rockstar being greedy. It's it's why I don't understand why things like shark cards and people putting like hundreds of dollars to get the best plane or the best fake apartment building in GTA Online. It's because Rockstar knows they can shell out that that of that extra fee from people, and because GTA Online makes them so much, they really have no. They know they won't face much opposition from it, since most of their player base will just pay for the upgrade. They'll pay the fee.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like when they announced the PS5 version, I was like, okay, of course I'm gonna buy it. I enjoy online like in bursts. Like it's very grindy. Like after a while, you definitely hit that wall where you're like, all right, like either I put 20 hours into this or I pay like $40, and I don't want to do either. But when they said that, basically the multiplayer was gonna be a separate price, that did kind of kill a lot of my excitement, because like you said, it is very pay to win. It's very, there's not as much skill as it is which player spent the most money.
Right, like you can buy like a ton of shark cards. You can pay millions for a like I haven't played GTA Online in the past year, so I don't know if this is still in the game. But there was a time when you could pay money to have an orbital missile kill a player from anywhere on the map whenever you want it.
Yep.
So if you just want to mess with a certain player, you and you had a ridiculous amount of money, you could call in the laser over and over and over and over and over, and there's nothing they'd be able to do about it.
Yeah, no, I enjoy GTA Online, but like it's hard to ignore all the issues with that, and that's was my hope, is that if Rockstar breaks it out, it's like, all right, cool, this is just our focus, this is all we're doing. We're not gonna waste time with an upgrade, it's like, all right, well, cool. Like, I don't even know what the PS5 could offer. It's like, oh well, there's slightly nicer grass.
Right.
There's kind of more cars. Like, I don't really know what a standalone GTA 5 on PS5 can offer at this point.
Right. Since the game is just not going to look that different than it does on like a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X. It's not gonna get graphically too much better than that.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think loading times might be improved
yeah,
since
I think they said something like the loading times are gonna go something from like 30 seconds to like 5, but like
right since I know that in GTA 5 and Red Dead 2, just getting into story mode usually takes like the first load screen usually takes just a little while.
mm-hmm. But yeah, so yeah, we'll have to see. March is still a long way. I'm genuinely curious to see what they can even add at this point to justify the cost of asking people to upgrade for a third time.
Same, but as I said earlier, their community is so strong that they'll that if Rockstar puts up the price for it, uh,
They'll pay it.
they, basically, if they're willing to pay $100 for a shark card, they'll pay $40 for a online fee.
But moving on from that, our next story, sticking into the world of cars, comes to us from Deadline.com, and it's that Anthony Mackie is to star as John Doe in the live-action Twisted Metal series from Sony TV and PlayStation Productions. And this comes to us from Justin Kroll. Mackie will play the lead role of John Doe in the half-hour live-action TV series. And insiders say Sony TV and PlayStation Production Studios are extremely high on the package, and a plan is in the works to take it to buyers soon. Doe is a smart-ass milkman who talks as fast as he drives. With no memory of his past, he gets a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make his wish of finding community come true, but only if he can survive an onslaught of savage vehicular combat. And then it just talks about how some of the writers of Cobra Kai are involved, and how Sony is also working on a Last of Us show with HBO and Chernobyl creator Craig Mazin. So yeah, nothing that crazy. But first off, what's your thought on, I guess, just PlayStation getting a star like Anthony Mackie and all that to be in a PlayStation?
Well, like with Anthony Mackie being in Twisted Metal and with people like Pedro Pascal being in Last of Us, I think this is a good sign that this is a good sign for game adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That I think they have the potential to really make something great here. Now, granted, I have never played with Twisted Metal. It didn't really look like my kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I was a kid, it just didn't look like my kind of thing. But the synopsis sounds like a lot of fun, and I'll definitely give it a shot. I'm excited to see Anthony Mackie in this role.
Well, because this production has been in development hell for so long. Like, I think people forget Will Arnett has been cast as Sweet Tooth. Yeah, which is like, so you've got Will Arnett, you've got Anthony Mackie. Like, I'm definitely optimistic. It's just the whole line. Their plan is in the works to take it to buyers soon. Like, yeah, I feel like this is still gonna be a few years away. Like,
yeah. I mean, if anything, this is still in the pre-production stage. They're still very much planning this,
Yeah, exactly.
planning the show.
And I think that's the toughest thing is because way back with Ratchet and Clank, the movie, which 2015.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the
I forgot.
PlayStation they made PlayStation Productions and they said like, hey, we're gonna start making movies about our properties, and you know, it was like, okay, sure you are PlayStation. Um, but now you have the Twisted Metal show, you have the Last of Us show. There's also
And
rumor of a Ghost of Tsushima show in the works somewhere.
and we have the Tom Holland Uncharted movie, whenever
Yes.
that's gonna come out.
We have seen photos of that. We know it exists. But yeah, I do feel like we're not there yet, but I do feel like in the next 2 or 3 years, PlayStation is gonna start firing on all cylinders. Like, all right, here's a God of War show, here's a Horizon show, here's a Shadow of the Colossus show. So I
Yeah,
think.
and
Mhm,
I think it's going to just take a really clever director.
mhm,
Since some of these things, like God of War 2018, Ghost of Tsushima, those two games, I I don't I don't see how they would really be hugely different experiences as movies,
mhm,
since they're pretty much like both cinematic as is.
mhm.
So if they do make one, I'm just very curious, like how would they make it feel different? How would they make it feel unique? Like what what would you put in your show to make to make fans of the game come and watch it? Or
Yeah, that's been my biggest
you
worry with the Last of Us is it was just like basically a set photo, but people are very excited on that. It's gonna be on HBO. I guess the biggest worry I have with that show is just like that is such a an iconic and a great story. I don't know how you tell that without basically just copying the script verbatim.
right, like I hope I hope they take some liberties. I hope they change some things, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise there'd be no point in adapting it into a TV show. I mean, I feel that if you're going to adapt a game into a TV show, you should some change something
Yeah.
to make it feel unique and different from the, like, while you're keeping the spirit of the original
Mm-hmm.
work, but you're putting your own spin on it.
Yeah, because I know there's been it's not PlayStation related, but the trailer recently for the Resident Evil movie came out, and I know some people were having issues
Yes.
because um you know from what from what I understand, they're basically combining 1, 2, and 3 into one story. Which I personally I don't have an issue with
Yeah.
because I know I've lot of some people have been like
Yeah. No.
they're like, oh well, Claire wasn't there. Oh, and then Claire's a reporter in this, and I'm like, I feel like if you follow the story too much, it kind of shackles you. Um, and
And
for me, it's just like I
and
want the
honestly,
flavor. I want the vibe, the style of that. It doesn't have to be a one-to-one following the plot.
right. I mean, honestly, the story of Resident Evil, I I never thought that was really the game's main strength. And
No.
since since I mean, what can you say about Leon or Chris Redfield? Really, they're just two guys who are fighting a bunch of zombies. One's one's in over his head, and the other is just a tough military cop guy. I mean, the characters were never really too
Too
deep.
depth.
So same here. I don't get why people would get mad about the lore of the Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, because I can understand, you know, um, if they change too much. But I like I said, the thing for me is I guess it basically just walks that fine line of like doing your own thing and without copying what the other person did. Because like I think
Right.
that's kind of the beauty of the MCU is you have a lot of comic nerds who they're like, oh well, I've read this issue, or like they'll read ahead. You know, when they announce like, oh, you know, Thor: Love and Thunder is gonna have Beta Ray Bill. You know, the comic people will read ahead and go, okay, now I know this and this and this. Um, but I enjoy how like, well, cool, that's the comics version, and then this is the
Right.
movies version. So like, you know, it offers you, even if you know these stories, they still do so many twists and changes on the movie itself that you can kind of enjoy it, no matter if you've read like every single comic or you've only read like one or two.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
And like with like after seeing Shang-Chi, I'm gonna try and read the comic version of that and see like what's different from the movie, what's only in the comic, things like that.
mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, moving on with the car talk. Our next one is Gran Turismo 7's campaign is always online, and this comes to us from Polygon.com by Owen Esgood. Gran Turismo will have an always online campaign mode. While these requirements are increasingly par for the course, particularly in sports and racing games, the series community isn't particularly happy about it. The requirement was subtly mentioned in a PlayStation blog um, on September 9th, or yeah, where the driving simulator's date was finally revealed. Um, the single, where is it? The only part of the game that doesn't require an online connection is the arcade mode, but that's because it has no effect on save data, Yamauchi added. But anything that has to do with save data requires a connection. For example, things like the livery data as well, that's something that's downloaded from the online server.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's just saying, apparently Forza has a separate online and campaign. Okay, and that's it. So, yeah. So I guess what is your thought first off, about these always online stuff, and I guess does it, especially in terms of like they said, it's also for the single player too.
Hmm.
Because actually, I believe you have. Do you have Deathloop?
Yes, I do, but I've not played it yet.
Well, so again, this is very much hearsay, but I
Right.
was watching girlfriend's review. According to them, that you need an internet connection to play the girl campaign.
Yes. Since she is an enemy. She like that's the reason you need an internet connection to play as her is because when you're online, you invade. So
Someone
it's like in
else's.
Dark Souls so it's like in Dark Souls when you're an invader.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what you do with an internet connection. You get to invade other players as her.
Mm-hmm. But you don't need that for the Cole campaign. You can just do that
No.
offline. Okay.
The Cole campaign you can do offline. The only thing you need a connection for is invasions.
Okay. Interesting. But yeah. So I guess the main thing is, yeah, like first off, how do you feel about Gran Turismo doing it, and then also like, is this something that would like kind of turn you off from a game, or is this something you wouldn't mind, depending on how intrusive it is?
Well, do you remember way back when the Xbox One came out
Mm-hmm.
and you had Don Matrick on stage saying, yeah, the Xbox One will be always online. It
Mm-hmm.
something about DRM, and a bunch of people got mad about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find that strangely
Yeah.
ironic now, where it's like, oh, it was laughed at, and Xbox One did so poorly back then because of it, and now we're kind of back to where
We're there.
now.
We're in that future.
Yeah. maybe Don Matrick had a point.
Yeah, because you look at stuff like, some of the biggest games like Final Fantasy Online, Avengers. I don't think there's many, like Fortnite. There's very few games nowadays that don't have some form of online, be it like leaderboards or something like some of them, like, yes, like you really don't, you can play them offline, you're just missing features. But they're
Like single player is hardly dead. I mean, seeing single player games are not dead at all.
no,
Um,
no, no.
but you do have a point in that nowadays there's just so much you can do when your game is online that you might as well take advantage of it. Now, being always online,
Yes,
I know,
that's the issue I have.
but simply having additional online options, I don't think it's just extra benefits, you know?
Yeah, that's I can't, like, I'm not the biggest Gran Turismo fan, so I can't say how extensive it is, but like for
Right.
me, from what I've seen, the thing that did excite me about Gran Turismo was the fact that they had a super in-depth like photo editor. Like, I know PlayStation already gets praised for their photo editors, but
Right.
like
But
just
yeah.
yeah, the way that like that was part of the game is you taking picture of your cars and in these locations, and like it really seems like they're trying to make GT7 this social communal thing where you're not just racing your cars, you're showing off your cars, you're watching other people's videos, other clips. Like, it's almost like its own social media platform and not just like a game. And for something like that, I can understand needing the constant online connection.
Right.
Mm. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah. I
How?
mean, I'll it it's gonna be in interesting to see how this goes for sure.
Yeah, it's only gonna get worse going forward. But yeah, moving on from that, staying in the realm of PlayStation, we have Shawn Layden reveals why he left Sony PlayStation. And this comes to us from PushSquare.com by Liam Croft. It's been almost 2 years since former worldwide studio head Shawn Layden suddenly left the company, announced to the world with nothing more than a tweet. Fans have speculated the reasoning since the time and time again, but now the man himself has broken his silence. Speaking to Bloomberg, Layden explained that he simply became burnt out with the industry as a whole. It's a young person's activity, I feel. This is a good time to put the pin on my legacy. He goes on to explain that after helping launch big PS4 exclusives like Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War, he saw the opportunity as the chance to go out on top. This seemed like a good time to step down and let another generation take the PS5 to market. The conversation then moved to the rumors surrounding a power struggle between him and current Sony boss Jim Ryan, but Layden didn't get into specifics. I think I took my time at the moment. I saw the best to take it, and I couldn't be happier. Um, so yeah, just a quick news story, but I do like, it is fun to get into whole conspiracy things. But I guess the thing I'll throw to you is, like I said, Jim Ryan's been the boss for the last 2 years or so. I'm just kind of curious, like,
Oh yeah.
how do you feel he's done in his time since then?
Uh I mean,
I
frankly, I didn't really have a problem with Sean as
well, that's good
as
to
the
hear.
like yes as head of play as the head of PlayStation. I I admit I didn't really pay much attention to what the man did specifically. Uh, I really had no issues with it.
Well, yeah. See,
Well,
that's the main thing for me is I you know I host a PlayStation show. I love PlayStation, but
right.
I can't deny that in the last 2 years or so, like, I do feel that arrogant Sony coming back where, hey, we sold the PS4, the best selling PlayStation of all time. We're entering this console number one. Like, I do feel their ego is kind of bolstering up, which
Right.
which will actually lead into our next news story. But they've done a lot of boneheaded decisions. Like, even what was it, the whole closing of the
Oh
PlayStation
yeah,
Store. You know,
yeah. Oh, the PlayStation, I think Vita and PS3 games,
yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I also understand that this is business. Like, these decisions were made probably long before Jim Ryan even came into the role.
Right.
Um, but that's what I say, because something I appreciate about Xbox is, like, they've been taking a licking, but they've been very humble about it. They're like, hey, you know what? We've got the best place to game. We've got the Series X. We've got Game Pass. Like, Xbox is making these little strides, and I think PlayStation is definitely become a lot more set in their ways of, like, hey, we're PlayStation. This is how we deal with it. Suck it up.
Right. Right. Since as you said, the PS4 just kind of blew Xbox out of the water last gen. So they're kind of still riding that wave.
Mm. Yeah. Again, like I said, PlayStation has done a lot of dumb stuff. But I still do think at their core they're still about gaming. It's just that they're
Right.
kind of being, when you're that successful and you're at the top, it is hard to kind of keep pushing yourself like that, because you're like, well, we're number one. Why keep going?
Yeah. Like I can't blame them for being a little bit arrogant, but I think um they need to think and stop and like think about the decisions they're making first before just immediately going through with them.
And speaking of decisions that they had to think about and then reflect on, our next one comes to us from the PlayStation blog, and this is the whole controversy about the Horizon Forbidden West upgrade path.
Right.
So, initially, they announced it, like we said before, it's on PS4, PS5, um, and that is one of the things PlayStation has screwed up. Is we all made fun of it when it first announced. Like, smart delivery sounds stupid, but basically it's like, hey, you own Xbox games, you own it here, you own it there, you own it everywhere. Every game is cross-gen. Like, you don't have to worry about that. Um, but PlayStation has been very kind of case by case. It's like, well, this gets a free upgrade. This one you have to pay for. This one's only for this.
Yeah, it is pretty annoying since like with like the Final Fantasy VII remake
Yeah.
upgrade intergrade. I guess I get it, but I hate that, like, me already owning the PS4 version. Sure, I get the upgrade for free, but I had to pay for the extra episode.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. Is that the anyone who claimed the PS Plus version when it was free,
Oh yeah,
those
that
people have to pay an extra $10. But if you just bought the game, then you had to do it. Yeah, but the issue was that, for example, me personally, I own the game physically, but I also claim the game digitally. So if I want
okay.
to, because I was like, well, okay, just for a backup copy in case something happens to mine. But because I did that, now I have no option. So even though I physically own Final Fantasy VII, I have to then pay that upgrade path and whatever.
Right, like that's why I kind of like digital games sometimes. It's because with upgrades, it's just automatic. I don't have to be like, oh well, I have a physical version, so I'm just kind of stuck. Um, but that's just me. That's why I got like the digital PS5 was so that I wouldn't run into any situations such as that. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that their whole upgrade planning path was necessarily well done or well thought out for Final Fantasy or Horizon.
Well, yeah, because what happened with Horizon is they started talking about the upgrade paths and whatever,
Yep.
and the reason people had issue with it was, please note, for players to have access to both the PS4 and the PS5 version of Horizon Forbidden West, you must purchase the digital deluxe collectors or regalia editions. Dual entitlement does not apply to the standard or even special edition. So you had to already spend the extra 30, 40, for the fancy one. Just even buying it on PS4 did not give you the upgrade.
Right.
So a lot of people were upset. And honestly, frankly, show because it's one thing to say like, hey, you have to pay an upgrade fee, because something people forget is there was an upgrade fee on PS3 to PS4. Games like Minecraft and this other, they had like, hey, you have to pay a $3 fee, but then you get the PS4 version, and I was fine with that because I'm like, all right, it's a small fee, it's annoying, but whatever. It's
right.
a 5-second thing. The issue with the PS4 to the PS5 was that some games had it, but some didn't. Some were free, some were paid. Like, there wasn't any consistency.
The thing with Horizon is that Sony did, in fact, initially say, yes, the upgrade from PS4 to 5 will be free with Horizon.
Well, no,
and,
yes. So they came out later, after, and they said that, hey, oh, excuse me. So I'm just going to read straight from the blog post. Last year,
right.
we made a commitment to deliver free upgrades to our cost-gen launch titles, which included Horizon Forbidden West. With the pandemic's profound impact pushed Forbidden West out of the launch window we initially envisioned, we will stand by our offer. Players who purchase Horizon Forbidden West on PS4 will be able to get the upgrade to the PS5 version for free. However, we also want to confirm today that starting forward, PlayStation first-party exclusive cross-gen titles newly released on PS4 and PS5, both physically and digital, will offer a $10 upgrade fee from PS4 to PS5. This will apply to the next God of War and Gran Turismo 7 and any other exclusive cross-gen PS4 and PS5 titles published by Sony Interactive Entertainment.
I mean, I think that's fair. That's fine. I'm glad they walked it back.
Exactly. I think that was a big thing, was just the fact they were not answering people. They were being very cagey. They weren't answering it.
I mean, yeah, I'd prefer a free upgrade, but it's only.
That's what I'm about to say. Yes. Am I happy about this? No. Xbox is doing it for free. We've had PlayStation games do it for free, so we know you don't have to charge. This is just PlayStation trying to make a little bit money, but at least they've been consistent. They're like, all right, hey, this is a standard going forward. There's no more confusion. Going forward, this is the deal.
Yeah, and it's not even an outrageous price. It's a flat $10 for every other game going forward.
Yeah. Is it annoying? Yes, but like,
yes.
And the thing I will say is that a lot of these, excuse me, because what's it? Ghost of Tsushima recently did this, as well as Death Stranding, and they make it so that like even with Final Fantasy, it's kind of worth it because you get like extra content, you get extra upgrades, like
like they to me are like the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut comes with Iki Island, an entire expansion.
Mm-hmm.
The Death Stranding director's cut, from what I saw, changed some things around from the base game, added a few things. Like they're basically completely new. They are more or less completely new products.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and for $10, that's not the worst thing ever.
Right.
But yeah, so we'll see if it affects any more PlayStation games going forward.
Let's hope not.
Yes, hopefully. Well, I think that's also the biggest issue is a lot of people, because Xbox made that declaration. They were like, hey, for the first 2 years, every single Xbox game is going to be cross-gen. and you know, a lot of the PlayStation fans scoffed and like, oh, that's awful. You're not
even
starting the console for 2 years, but you know,
even Deathloop is going to be cross-gen.
I think for any of the what was it? Sorry, for any of the like Xbox first party, so like for like Halo,
Okay.
yeah, for Halo and Perfect Dark and all that other stuff. Anything that comes out within the first 2 years, you'll be able to play it on a One X or a One S.
Right.
Yeah. So what's like at first it was like because again going back like I was talking to my one friend. I kind of prefer it this way because like look, the PS5 is still very hard to get. Um, People are not going to be able to readily get this console for at least another like year and a half. So I'm totally fine having these
Right.
cross-gen games so that everyone can play them compared to stuff that, like you said, like Returnal or Ratchet and Clank or whatever. They're just locked on PS5. If you don't have a PS5, you can't play those games.
Right. And it's when you're the owner of the next gen consoles, you're kind of in a weird place since since you're like, I want more games like I want more games to see the full potential of next gen. Like what can God of War do on PS5 only on PS5? What can Horizon do only on PS5? Though, do you get where I'm coming from? It's like want I I want PS4 players and as many people as possible to experience God of War. Though part of me is like, if only they just committed to like going all in next gen. Though I do get why they're putting some on PS4 because they acknowledge the fact that PS5s are still ridiculously hard to get. I myself got lucky. Um, I think it'll be at least a year before Sony officially like really moves on to like full on PS5 only. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, you were still gonna be waiting a bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, it'll PS5 is PS4 is hardly dead. It's hardly dead yet. It'll just it'll just be a while since we got to remember how long console generations last. Since I got the Xbox One when I was a freshman in high school back in 2013, so.
But yeah. So, let's move on to that. Just another quick one. It's just that this one comes to us from dotesports.com.
God,
Dot esports. Excuse me. I'm looking at the URL and it's right there. No, it's just that Fall Guys has achieved the Guinness World Record for the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game ever. I'm trying to see if there's any more. Yeah, okay, that's really it. And they go on talking about there's a festival, blah blah blah. I guess the only thing I was gonna say is first off, were you big into Fall Guys when it came out?
Yeah, I played a few rounds, got a few crowns.
Yeah, I don't think I ever won, sadly.
I didn't play as much as some of my friends did, but I'm not surprised that it's the biggest PS Plus game ever. It's a fun little party game.
I remember that was like the moment for 2020. It was Animal Crossing and then Fall Guys, and that was just the two games that exploded, where it just seemed like everyone was playing it.
Oh yeah, and then Among Us killed Fall Guys.
Yeah, quite literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, it was. I didn't expect it to be as much of a hit as it was.
That's the thing I find most crazy is
since when it came out, I was like, oh, that looks cool. I might give it a shot. And then it's like everyone is talking about it on Twitter and YouTube, and it's like the next like giant game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I played it for about a week. I'm like, all right, cool, I get this, and I bounced. I don't know what they're. I think they said something like, it gets on average about 100,000 players, which is decent, but like I can't like. I'm just shocked. Excuse me. That number one in less than, what was it? For only like a few months. Like it's just crazy to see how well that game performed, and that it's still like technically only on PlayStation, like because the Xbox and the
Oh,
Switch
right.
version, yeah, they got delayed to some point this fall. So
Right. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so nothing major, just a fun, quick one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I
next
mean, I'm happy for the developers. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, I know they've done a lot of cool crossovers. They did a Ratchet one, and they did a Sonic one. So they're still going there, and hopefully
Oh yeah.
they have a little dedicated audience. What is my okay? My computer wants me to talk about Dying Lot, but we're not going to do that. No, our next story comes to us from TechRaptor.net, and it's that Take-Two may have leaked the Xbox Game Pass subscriber count. And this comes to us from Robert Adams. So yeah, so basically the CEO of Take-Two Interactive mentioned offhand in an interview, you've got about 30 million subscribers, Phil, right? The Take-Two CEO stated on the call, something like that. The last public number we've announced is 18 million, Phil Spencer replied, chuckling.
Yeah.
Microsoft had previously stated that Xbox Game Pass subscriber count was 18 million this year, and those numbers were based off of data from the tail end of 2020. If Zelnick's statement is accurate, that would mean Game Pass has kicked up 12 million subscribers in less than a year, an impressive growth of 40%. With the expansion to new platforms and ever-growing library of games, it seems that Xbox Game Pass has become a roaring success for Microsoft, and blah, 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 blah. So again, another quick one, but I just wanted to...
I mean,
that's the thing I find crazy is, much like Fall Guys, I hear so many people hype up, Game Pass is the best deal. Game Pass is the best. Like, 30 million seems very low to me.
Well, and I mean, this isn't really the official. This isn't the official number anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. I thought it would be higher. I thought way more people would have had Game Pass.
Right, like 30 million. Well, keep in mind, with the amount of people that buy Xboxes, Game Pass comes separately.
Mm-hmm.
It is a subscription service.
Yes.
So the proportion of Xboxes to Game Pass owners.
Yeah.
That'll be like what's interesting.
Yeah, because according to VG charts, it says that Xbox One has about 49 million consoles sold. So that would mean basically.
Okay.
So if you're judging about half, that
Yeah, like if the number is correct and there were 49 million sold, then like more
than half, like
more than half of the of people who have bought an Xbox are on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what? God. I feel like this is a professional thing I should have done beforehand, because I'm trying to find the. I believe PlayStation. Yeah, because PlayStation Plus as of June is 46 million. So that's the thing I find crazy is again, it's like PlayStation 4 has sold 114 million PS4. So that means less than half of PS4 owners own PS Plus, but over half the Xbox players own Game Pass.
Well, I think it's because you just get more out of Game Pass.
Yeah.
Since PS Plus, it's really just Xbox Live. It's just Xbox Live Gold. You get some free games, which granted are good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's mainly just for the on just for the online
Mm-hmm.
and multiplayer.
Well, actually, I'm gonna tie into our last news story, um, which comes to us from ScreenRant.com. If my thing will load. Do 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 do. Okay, I'll just vamp while it goes down. But yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to say is that having had um the having had an Xbox in Game Pass for about a month now.
Right.
Um, it's very interesting because I both love Game Pass as a service, but for me it is very interesting where Game Pass strikes me as 2011 Netflix, where a lot of the stuff started to leave, and like it's one of those things. Like, yes, if any random person on the street, I'd be like, just get Game Pass. Game Pass is worth it, but there isn't really the new titles. Like for me, for someone who likes to be in the conversation and keep up on the latest things, there isn't that the library is very restrictive in certain ways, especially because compared to something like games with gold, where hey, as long as you have gold, those games are yours. A lot of games like I tried on Game Pass, they actually left because, like, for example, I've been trying to get my fiance into the Kingdom Hearts series, and they were all on Game Pass. But then Game Pass got rid of them all, so like I literally downloaded it, and then the next morning, Game Pass was like, "Oh yeah, we got rid of those." So I couldn't play those games anymore. Like I would have had to buy them new. Compared to Gold, where as long as I have the Gold subscription, I could play those forever. And even right now, they added Kingdom Hearts 3 back, but they didn't add the other games. So right now, the only Kingdom Hearts you can play on Game Pass is 3.
I mean, I think it would be hard to keep a consistent library all of the time, since I think the only reason it works as a Netflix of games is because either due to licensing or business deals,
Exactly.
they have to do it that way.
Yes, because I'm gonna save it for next month's episode, but very
Right.
briefly, it is very interesting because one of the games for September was they announced that Avengers is going to be on Game Pass, which is cool. I think that's great for that game. It's very good. But the thing I found interesting was that Avengers has already been on PlayStation Now like 2 or 3 months ago, and it did not get the same excitement and fervor as when it announced it was going to be on Game Pass.
Sorry, I'm just gathering my thoughts on it. You can go on.
Yeah, well, I guess the last news story, just to let you catch your thoughts, is just a quick, little thing from Screen Rant, and it's just talking about that Xbox Live goes down more than PSN.
Yeah, which I've never. For me, PSN went down more.
Well, see, that's
when I had my PS4. Sure.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, here is it from Brandon Pero.
Yeah, since when I had my PS4, it 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 feels like I can name a number of times that PSN is down again.
Yeah, because it says according to tool testers, Xbox had 63 outages, while PlayStation only experienced 49 in the same time frame. Meaning, on paper it is more consistent. However, they both ranked better than Steam, which had doubled PlayStation outages at 99. Yeah, okay, that's it. Yep, so according to them, PlayStation. No, but the thing I find interesting is, going back to the Xbox thing, having. I don't know what it is, if it's my Xbox or something. It takes forever to download anything with that thing. Like, I will have to leave it on overnight, and like there's been times
Yes.
I will leave it on at night, wake up, go to work, come back, and it's still downloading stuff.
Dude, I've found that like my PS5 actually downloads things faster than my Series X,
Mm-hmm.
and they're both next gen. And while the Series X is hardly slow, I found that I can install a game. Um, I feel that I can install a game and have it be ready to play a lot faster. Like a 50 gigabyte game will be done in like under half an hour on my PS5.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's
Crazy.
it is like I because like when I moved with my fiance, I thought something was wrong with the internet because I called them up. I'm like,
Right.
why is it downloading so slow?
Now
And
that
they were
it's
like, no,
loaded. Yeah.
everything's fine.
Oh, dude,
That's the Xbox.
I, dude, I think I know why. It's because I think I remember hearing this once. It's because Xbox imposes like a data cap. Like they have a cap for how fast your game can download or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I I don't know the technical term for it, but I believe they put some kind of limit on how fast your games can go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I could be completely wrong on that. I that is just from what I believe I heard a while back. So don't quote me on it.
Yeah.
But I just believe that's the case.
Well, yeah, but I guess that's the very interesting for me is it's easy to kind of look at both companies right now and go like, PlayStation's screwing up because they're charging for
Right.
these remakes, they're doing this, they're doing that. Honestly, the more I play the Xbox, the more I'm like, okay, I kind of enjoy them for very different reasons. I think the PlayStation I enjoy because um I enjoy it for the one or two PlayStation exclusives that come out every year. Stuff like Returnal, like Ratchet, like even was it Kenna got very good
Oh yeah.
reviews recently.
Good.
And then for all the other games, that the stuff on the Game Pass, like I tried Skateboard and I tried it and deleted it in a day, and it sucked because Skateboard was not good, but nothing on PlayStation has ever been that has given me that feeling of, oh cool, let me try this, and like my fiance and I are constantly going through the Game Pass list, going like, oh well, let's try this game, and it's definitely gotten her to try games a lot more compared to what she normally would be playing.
Right. Like that's the benefit of Game Pass, and that's why it's good for like more casual, more casual gamers, or people who just want to kind of
That's
keep
that's what
people who
I've
are
told
new.
people. Is if you're someone who's just like, I just want to play a game, I just want to do that, Game Pass cannot be beat. It is 100% like, if you're just gonna try a game and then nothing else, like you can't beat it. Like for the price and for all the different stuff, you're gonna try it. But if you want, a specific game, like let's say a Dark Souls or a story or something like that, I think you would have to buy them yourself.
Yeah. I mean, not if you're looking for something specific, like or if you play like a Souls like game through Game Pass and you want to play the Dark Souls games, that'll like it's a good gateway into new gaming experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But like I said, that's the thing I found most funny is with the Avengers, that it's been on Game Pass, or excuse me, PlayStation Now, and people have just been like, okay. Like, I do find it interesting that PlayStation is trying with Now, but it is night and day when you compare those two services.
Oh, ab, absolutely.
Yeah, because I still believe certain PS3 games you can only, or no, excuse me, PS3 games you can only stream. They've added the
Right.
option that you can like download PS4 games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that will pretty much do. Any last thoughts on just kind of I guess the future of Xbox, because when we're about 2 months away from
I
Halo Infinite, so
I
it is
I think
interesting to think that Xbox has done this whole first year and they haven't really had a big banger title. They haven't had Game Pass has been the whole reason this console has been, in the conversation for the past year.
right. As for the future of Xbox, I think it has a lot of potential since they're just kind of in a drought right now. Ever since Xbox One, like the original Xbox One, and then PS4, they have basically been without a really like killer title to bring people over to their console ever since like ever since Bloodborne came out on PS4. They have yet Xbox has yet to have a giant game where it's like, hey, come to Xbox so you can only play this.
And I generally hope that's Halo.
Right, and with the fact that they bought Bethesda, and they've got games like Starfield. There's a game called Avowed that looks really good. Um, it's apparently going to be kind of like it's going to be made by Obsidian. They right they bought Obsidian. Like they're buying up all these studios that they're putting them to work developing exclusive Xbox titles. And
well, yeah,
I think the future for
much like the PlayStation movie studio, I think Xbox is they're still in the teeing up stage. Like, they're still getting their ducks in a row, but once those dominoes roll, I feel like Xbox is in a much better spot to do like hit after hit after hit.
Right, like their future is very bright. It is really just a matter of time right now. We just have to wait for them to actually get those games out.
But we'll have to wait for them another time, because that will do it for another episode of the Unofficial PlayStation Plus podcast. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Benjamin, for coming back. It's always a blast to come and just talk PlayStation games with you.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and time honestly flew by.
It always does. But yeah, so where can people find you? Yes, because I believe it's Benji99.
Yeah, it's Sake Benji99 on Twitter. It's SAKE Benji99 on Twitter.
Yes, and then all of this will be in the description. But yeah,
I have a YouTube channel as well. It's my name, Benjamin Weeks.
Yeah, no, it's a great watch. But if you want to keep the conversation going or check the daily happenings of our show, be sure to follow us at PS Plus Pod, all one word. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to write into the show and have your letter read on air, PlayStationPlusShow@gmail.com. I have been Vincent Kenny. He has been Benjamin Weeks, our lovely guest for this episode, and this has been the Unofficial PlayStation Plus podcast. And until next time, long live play, whenever, wherever, forever.